Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Asavri Sawant, and it's truly a privilege to welcome you to the live panel discussion on the episode 2 of Detect to Protect Everyone's Guide to Know About Breast Cancer, organized by Voice of Healthcare, powered by Zydus. Please let me give a brief about our main objective behind today's panel discussion, which is to generate awareness about breast cancer. Every year, the World Cancer Awareness Day is a global uniting initiative led by the Union for International Cancer Control. This year's theme is Close the Gap, that is, closing the gap between patients and early detection. So, in today's live discussion, we would be exploring the ways in which different health ecosystems can come together and work towards our collective goal of bridging the gap between early detection and prevention. Please let me begin this session by welcoming our eminent dignitaries. First, we have Dr. Ashish Joshi, who is Speciality Medical and Pediatric Hemato-Oncologist at Mumbai Oncocare Center. Next, we have Dr. Vashishth Pankaj Manjar. He's a consultant medical oncologist and specialty medical and pediatric hemato-oncologist at Mumbai Oncocare Center. Next, we have Mr. Varun Seth, co-founder and CEO of Ketto. Next, we have Ms. Anjaline Jeyapradha, nursing officer of breast clinic at All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. Welcome, ma'am. Next, we have Mr. Hitesh Goswami, co-founder and CEO of 4 Days Care. Next, we have Mr. Ashish Kumar, Vice President and Cluster Head of Zydus Kerala. Next, we have Ms. Deepika Thakur Gandhi, Indian Business Development Head for Cleveland Clinic, as well as founder and director for IMAS Healthcare. Ms. Deepika Gandhi would also be moderating this session for today. Welcome, ma'am. Now over to you.
Thank you. In diagnosis and detection of cancer, awareness can be empowering. And sessions like these are very important in spreading the awareness. So I want to thank Voice of Healthcare for the opportunity to moderate this session with an esteemed panel. So let's dive into our session today. My question is for Ms. Anjaline. What are the measures that can be taken in order to improve the overall quality of life of people suffering from breast cancer? Ms. Anjaline, I think you're on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. A very good afternoon to all. Thank you for Voice of Healthcare for inviting me for this discussion. It's my pleasure and privilege to share the panel with the experts here. It's a very good question asked by ma'am to improve the quality of life of the people surviving with the breast cancer, because the advances in the breast cancer treatment has increased, so the growing number of survivors are more nowadays. If you see earlier, the breast cancer pertaining to the older people, the survivor were older people, but the incidents are growing in a younger generation now, where they are in a productive age. So we need to take good measures to improve their quality of life. Yeah, the breast cancer survivors, the survivorship starts in the beginning, initial diagnosis and the initial treatment, which is the first phase, where there need to be more attention has to be given, because the person who is diagnosed with the breast cancer are in depression or denial. They could not accept the diagnosis of breast cancer, where we need to continually help the person. So it is not possible without the family. We need to involve the family in the care. So we need to explain to the patient the available modalities. We need to continuously educate from the beginning. When there is a extra acceptance, there is a good quality of life from the beginning. So we the healthcare team work closely with the health, with the patient, and with the patient relatives. They need to be continuously supported. And the patient, we found that all the educations are being planned in the beginning itself, where they are more receptive, where they are pain free. And we also found that group teachings where they see all the other similar condition patients, a person, they talk with each other, they understand better. So the family or the group teachings are the better way to improve the quality of life throughout. And the teachings like the arm care, the arm exercises, post operative complications, all has to be talked to the in the initial beginning stage itself, because the body image disturbance is the first thought when the patient is diagnosed with the breast cancer, so they need to be guided properly. And the second phase started when the after the completion of treatments. Once they complete with the treatment, they are not free, and they need to be on continuous follow up. So one, because the fear of recurrence is throughout their life, so they need to be guided clearly. When do they need to come for follow up, because the recurrent, the metastasis is, they are the more chance to get. And they need to talk on cell breast examination on the other breast regularly, they need to do. And we need to address to their problem, like they get continuous fatigue, sleep disturbances, the complications like lymphedema, where which is frustrating throughout their life, that has to be addressed. And because they are, as we say that more in the younger age group, they where they are no child, that has to be counseled whether they can have childbirth. Yes, they can have childbirth even after the surgery or mastectomies, because they are in younger age group, productive age. And the complications of chemotherapy, radiation therapy has to be addressed. And finally, we need to club together, like a survivorship meetings have been regularly conducted, which help them more to understand and go back to their normal life. All our treatment is being planned to improve their quality of life. The availability of external prosthesis, or the how to put the wig and continue, they can have a good productive quality life even after they have mastectomies and the breast conservative surgeries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that comprehensive response, Angeline. It sounds to me like a combination of psychological reassurance with clinical follow-up is extremely important. So thank you for that elaborated response. Technology and innovation has disrupted healthcare in the last few years, and we would like to understand from Mr. Hitesh how your organization is changing the landscape of cancer care through newer innovation.
Thanks, Deepika, and I would like to thank the VOH team for the invitation, and extremely delighted to be part of this panel discussion. Uh, Very good question, in fact, Deepika, and we happy to answer that. If you know that India has highest incidences of cancer in the world, almost 1.5 million new cancer diagnoses happen every year. It's not that we don't have the technology or the expertise in India that is in the West. It is now available to us. Take, for example, DNA sequencing or biomarker testing, which allows us to match cancer patients to the right treatment for targeted therapies. In fact, these targeted therapies have lesser side effect compared to the standard chemotherapy, and even the clinical outcomes are much better. But and these kind of technology are used as a standard of care in the West, and if you and in India, if you look at it, less than 2% of the patient have access to such technology. Mainly because if you have to do a comprehensive molecular workup for a cancer patient, it would be very, very expensive. In West, it is covered under insurance. In India, most insurance do not cover these tests, right? And some of the tests cost in lakhs, so it's just not affordable for every patient to get access to this technology. If we want these technology to be accessible to every patient, it needs to be affordable. And as a company, what we are doing is we are continuously working towards this. This is our vision, building affordable precision oncology solutions. We are very confident that the kind of innovation that is happening currently in flow-based care, that we would be able to bring down the cost of some of these technologies to the cost of doing a PET CT scan, which is a routine diagnostic test which is being done, right? And we are currently working towards that. And once we do that, is when you will see wider adoption, larger accessibility for the cancer patients. We strongly believe that technology is very, very powerful, but if it is not affordable, it has no use. So, as a company, our objective is to bring affordable solutions, technology for the cancer patients to help them in the diagnosis and treatment. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Hitesh. You bring up a very important aspect of healthcare delivery, which is affordability, and we wish you success in this endeavor. So, jumping right into next question, which is for Mr. Varun. We know Ketto has been there for around 8 to 9 years now, and you've helped millions by raising funds for a cause. How has Ketto managed to thrive and play a role, especially in this pandemic?
Yeah, firstly, sorry for my background noise. Is my voice okay? Echoing?
No, we can hear you okay, Mr. Varun.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, sorry. Actually, I'm on the road. I was not able to get home on time, so I'm on my phone. But firstly, thanks so much for having me over, inviting me for the session. To answer your question, I think a lot has changed in the last 2 years. Since the pandemic started, a lot of people have come online. A lot of people are transacting online, and of course, giving online has increased tremendously, right? And especially what we saw. Sorry about that. What we saw in the second and third wave was primarily a lot of people getting admitted in hospitals, a lot of people in need of funds, a lot of people in ICUs as well. So automatically we saw a lot of people using our platform as well, and because the gap in India to in terms of funds required and funds can be paid in hospitals is significantly high. Close to about 50 million people go bankrupt every decade because of high medical expenses. So we solved a very simple and large problem, I would say, where a lot of these people who could not afford these expensive medical treatments and long stays in ICUs started using our platform and started using a network. And we're happy to say we were able to raise over close to about 500 plus crores only around COVID, which includes medical and non-medical needs. So yeah, we just feel we're getting started. I think. This is the first step. For a country like India, the need is pretty large, and we see that people want to give as well, right? People are looking for easier avenues where they can come and contribute online in an easy, safe, transparent manner. So yeah, we're just getting started, and I think there's a lot more we can do, and we're just there to help as many people as we can.
Thank you so much for that, Varun. And we totally don't mind. We appreciate you still making it to the event despite the delays. Just a quick pointer on transparency. Can you elaborate, how do you make sure the process is transparent?
Sure, yeah. So, say for medical stuff, we mostly work with hospitals. About 150 hospitals, we have our own employees sitting over there. So, we have a kiosk there, so which basically allows us to work very closely with health service providers. And we also work similar to like a cashless insurance, where I would say majority of the funds that get raised, they get directly transferred into hospital account and not into personal accounts, so it can be. So we basically do these are two among the multiple things that we do to maintain transparency, maintaining know-how in terms of who we are supporting and where the funds are going. But of course, I would be unfair to say that we are 100% we've covered it. There are still gaps, and we do still constantly see people trying to game the system. But yeah, I would say we're doing our level best to close every loophole that's possible.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Varun. My next question is in the space of pharmaceuticals, and this is for Mr. Ashish. What are the latest innovations in pharmaceuticals related to cancer care? If you can just elaborate that for us.
Thanks for that question. I think quite relevant when we are talking about making the cancer care accessible to most patients, as Hitesh was also alluding to that. So, if I talk about the oncology amongst the pharmaceutical industry, oncology is the world's largest pharmaceutical therapeutic area in terms of the revenues. And when I talk about innovation in oncology are accelerating like no other therapeutic area. While if we talk about India, the word cancer still holds a taboo. But the development and innovations in the recent past has brought oncology to a space where the outcomes are changing so rapidly, and I'm sure 2 decades from now we should be able to remove the taboo from at least the cancer across the world. Across the world. Coming to the developments in the pharmaceutical space, if we talk about the cancer treatment 3 decades ago, 30 years ago, then what was available was the cytotoxic drugs, and those were the agents which most of the oncologists across the world and in India used. And there was a limitation to the cytotoxic drug that they didn't differentiate it between the normal cells and the tumor cells, and that is where the issue was in terms of side effects, because while chemotherapeutic agents were developed for targeting tumor cells, but they also ended up impacting a lot of our normal cells in the body. And then 2 decades back started the development of targeted agents, and it was actually in late 1980s when the initial research started, and in the late 90s we saw the development of the targeted agents coming to the cancer care, and that is where a lot started changing to the cancer care, and especially in the breast cancer space we have targeted biologic agents which have improved the outcomes significantly in the breast cancer space. And then in the late or the early 2000, the world looked at combining the best of both. Can we combine the cytotoxic drugs along with the targeted agents and have the good from both? And that is where the new innovation came in, which was the antibody drug conjugates, combining the chemotherapy with the targeted agents, and then further improvement in the cancer care happened. I'm very happy to share with you that today, if we talk about the Indian breast cancer space, especially from the element of the drug availability, India today leads in the biosimilar space, which have been the affordable options for the targeted agents, the biologic agents, which I was talking about. From India today, we have over 100 biosimilars approved, which is the highest in the world. Even the US and Europe doesn't have that kind of biosimilars approved in their country. So we are not only just moving towards the better care, but we are also moving from India towards the accessible cancer care. And as I was alluding to the ADC, the antibody drug conjugate, India also became the first country to have a biosimilar of ADC. So the pace of innovation is increasing with every passing year. And the future or the recent developments have been on the precision medicine, that is delivering the right drug to the right patients at the right time. And that is where the future holds on to the present innovation. And precision medicine is not a new medical concept, but the ability to examine the genotype, which is the genetic information of a patient, and the phenotype, that is the set of express characteristic of tumor cells to identify the molecular lesion, followed by the treatment with the specific targeted therapy. So in the future, that is what we will see for most of the patients, that certain specific patients would receive certain drugs and the other specific patients would receive the other specific drugs and getting the better outcome. So the future holds for the precision medicine, and that is what the pharmaceutical industry is developing for the future.
Thank you so much, Mr. Asish. My takeaway from your discussion was, how we treat types of cancers depends on what type, and it is so rewarding to hear the role of technology, whether it's the diagnostic technology or imaging, in combining with the pharmaceutical industry to deliver the best care for the patient. So appreciate your response there. I'm going to switch over to the physicians on the team. Is Dr. Maniar online? I know they were running into some delays. I just want to make sure if Dr. Joshi or Dr. Maniar have been able to join us.
No, I don't think so.
No, okay, so let's give them some more time. So back to availability, access, and affordability. My question is for Varun. What differences do you think Ketto or organizations such as yours have been able to make in the cancer space in the areas of availability, access, and affordability?
So thanks for firstly so much for the question. I would say it's been pretty large, right? Because that's one of the largest categories that we see on our platform where people are raising funds for cancer treatment. So, and in cancer, one of the biggest areas that we've seen is has been a lot of stem cell bone marrow transplants as well. For us, it's a very large category, and I believe that a lot of hospitals now have become receptive to the idea of crowdfunding and getting patients to use a platform like crowdfunding to raise funds for the treatment. Because before, the challenge with a lot of these patients were they were not able to gather the necessary funding only, and cancer is a very expensive treatment and something that goes on for a year or 2 years or even 3 years or longer. So hospitals are very excited, and of course our customers, which are patients, they are very very happy because these are people who either would not get treatment or would have to sell everything under the sun to get that treatment done, right? They would have to sell their house, they would have to sell every asset, they would go to loan sharks, take loans at 30-40% interest rate to pay for that treatment. Our view is that it's been game changing. We've been able to impact lakhs of lives now through our platform, through crowdfunding. And we believe that the problem is so large that even if we can if we're able to help 1% of the patients, that's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, Varun. I think this is a very important role that your company is playing, and I think more and more, I think there is a need for these kind of platforms to address the gaps in terms of accessibility. My next question is for Miss Anjaline. What do you think are the biggest challenges that you face while conducting breast health and breast awareness campaigns? And added to that, has COVID caused a divide in cancer diagnosis, delivery, and management?
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am, for the question. Actually, the World Cancer Day started with the slogan like "Close the care gap." I mean, we are joining together and creating awareness. As an institute, we conduct many awareness programs pertaining to breast health. And not only in our institution, we go out to the schools, colleges, and NGOs, the clubs. We go as a team and teach the general public. It is like we don't stop there, and once we identify the patient, we teach them, or we give talks on the breast cancer symptoms, like because most of the women, whatever the lump they found, they are scared of cancer, but not all the breast lumps are cancer. That has to be clear. So because the benign diseases like a non-cancerous lumps are more common, like we need to educate the youngsters or the female in that way also. And we have to teach them about the warning signs, and breast cancer is not preventable, but it is curable if you detect it early. So how can we detect early? Unless and otherwise we create awareness, unless and otherwise the person know what is wrong, they will not be coming out. There will be still there is a gap. So we need to create awareness, and they need to be familiarized on signs and symptoms of breast cancer. There are modifiable cause and non-modifiable risk factors. We can more non-modifiable, being a female gender, we cannot do anything. But if the obesity is falling under the modifiable risk factor, which can be reduced, so we can teach them on the to follow the healthy diet. Because the more and more modernization nowadays, we go for junk foods, and that can be avoided, or we can go for more cultural food, and one can monitor the weight according to their height, which is much more important. And there is always a stigma or shyness, or Indian women don't express it out, and they are still there is a stigma. But we found many men are coming up bringing their wife and the daughters to the clinics. So the men need to be more educated so that the cancer will be detected early. That also a point. And when we talk about the healthy lifestyle, it is much more important in our country, uh, because the smoking is increasing in female gender. That has to be stopped. And we the early detection, if you talk about in the breast cancer, self breast examination plays a crucial role in this. So the female every female has to learn how to do the self breast examination. We always teach them about like a breast is if you a clock of a face, thinking that a clock of a face, which is a more understandable way, like they need to follow a pattern. They just cannot palpate their breast in their own way. There is a pattern, like a think that your breast is a dial of a clock face, and start from the 12 o'clock, cover from the cervical like a 12 o'clock top, and cover till the nipple, and go around 1 2 3 4 11 o'clock, so that you will cover the entire breast and no part will be left over. And palpate your axilla and see, because the breast continues to the, it is like a breast tail also continues. Most of the patient develop cancer in the breast tail. And so we need to do, when it has to be done, every month. So once they attend the periods like a menarche, they need to start doing their breast examination, self breast examination. Every female need to understand, be familiarized with their own breast, so that they can identify the which is abnormal. They can, if they found any lump or any changes or any nipple discharge, that has to be any size or change in the contour or anything has to be identified immediately, and they can seek the medical help. So this is what we go, especially in the awareness program. And as well as they need to come for the clinical breast examination. Like if they are over 40 years or more, if they have any family history, they need to come to the trained person, medical person, to get it checked or clinically examine their breast. And mammogram, like a breast x-ray is being advised over after 40 years or age. In India, if it is maybe because non-availability or well below socioeconomic, the funded are not available, so mammogram can be done. If not, the self breast examination or clinical breast examination is the more important thing. Especially in the, maybe the asha workers are being trained in India, and they detect cases yearly, which is appreciable nowadays. And every human, if they have a family history, at the age of 35 years, they have to start doing their mammogram and do the clinical breast examination. To answer to your second part of question, the COVID pandemic has affected everyone, every aspect of our life, including the breast cancer patient screening, early detection, the treatment, follow up. Everything is being affected, especially in the first pandemic era. But in our institute, we have been provided mobile for the special purpose of calling. Telephonic consultation and video call has been made, and we followed the patient. Still many we could not reach out, there are still the follow-ups or reduced, and they came with the recurrence. But now we are better prepared, and we moving forward. The surgeries is not being postponed, we are following the patient. uh, uh, what I want to insist here is, the let the awareness start with me, with my family, my own colleagues, my own surrounding, my neighbors, my society, and then we go on, move around, and cover the whole of India. Female is being covered. We talk and we don't do is not a matter. We as a healthcare person, we start do the self breast examination, and we teach. Let stop shying, and let's talk, and let's stop the gap and close the gap. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Anjaline. Your passion for what you do clearly comes across in your responses, and we are so appreciative of the wonderful work that you're doing in this space. Thank you for highlighting the importance of primary prevention, secondary prevention, the importance of acceptance of this, diagnosis, and the importance of screening and imaging by experts. Um, One question is around, breast density tests. Is that relevant to in the diagnosis of breast cancer? Because I've heard the if the denser the breast tissue, the higher the risk is for identifying. Have you seen any of that in your practice? I think we've lost Anjaline there. I'm going to give it some time and then switch over to Mr. Hitesh. Mr. Hitesh, how integrated do you think health technologies are in helping patients stay connected and engaged throughout the care journey?
Thanks, Deepika, again. I think the largest gap today that we have is that the cancer care ecosystem is not integrated. In fact, it is fragmented. And today, we can use technology very, very effectively to close this care gap. When I say fragmented, let me explain you the fragmentation. Um, just like DNA, there are four letters of life: A, T, G, and C. The same way, we believe that the care ecosystem for cancer patient, there are four bases of care ecosystem which supports them. Again, they start with A, T, G, and C. Now, A means allied care, which is everything right from getting the right psychological counseling, palliative care, nutritional counseling, something that Varun and his team is doing in Ketto by providing the right, or helping them get the right financial support, right? So that is the allied care from A. T is for technology companies like us who continuously working and innovating to bring advanced technology solutions to the patients, and which would help them in early diagnosis, treatment overall. Then G would be for global research, something what Ashish and his team is doing in Zydus, where they are doing bench to bedside kind of research and trying to bring new drugs, biosimilars, which makes today targetable treatment affordable and accessible. So that is the global research plays a very, very important part in bringing the right solutions for the cancer patients. And C, which is the most important, we all know, is the clinical care provided by hospitals, clinics, and the doctors, right? Now, unfortunately, what has happened is that all these four bases, they work in silos, they work independently. And that is what something, again, that we as a company think needs to be changed. The gap needs to be closed. And which is where we have now built a very sophisticated digital health platform called OncoBuddy to bring all these four bases together to provide a unified support to the cancer patients, right? And we'll be launching this very, very soon. But we strongly believe that till the time these bases don't come together, integrated care is not provided to cancer patients. That's a huge gap to be filled. And I think all of us should work together to build this, to basically bridge this gap.
Thank you so much for that response, Hitesh. Um, with regards to how can different sectors within healthcare collaborate to provide affordable cancer care, I'd like to open it up for everyone, but particularly Mr. Asish first. What are your thoughts or perspectives on the collaboration between the stakeholders?
Thanks again for that question. Uh, when we're talking about collaboration and we're talking about making it affordable cancer care, I think I would first mention here that the first priority for the collaborations among the different sector is not the affordable cancer care, but to collaborate first to spread awareness about cancer, which was, I think, very well said by Anjaline in his remark, in her remark. So, if we consider today's scenario, I don't think we have a family in India today or globally who doesn't know about COVID, right? And maybe there is hardly a family who doesn't know a vaccine which is being today introduced across the world for the COVID. Why is that? That every family knows about COVID, which is 2 years old, and the vaccine, which is 1 year old, but cancer, which has been such a big issue for years and years. It takes a cancer patient in a family for everybody to know, and for the others, it is always something which is always far away. So I think a lot needs to be done to make the society aware about the cancer care, about the cancer, about the signs and symptoms, and that is where the first collaboration is needed. The government and the private sector has to come together. The way they have uplifted the society for fight against the COVID, I think the same effort is needed to for the fight against the cancer as well. A disruption is needed on the awareness so that every family in the country knows about the early signs and symptoms and detect it early. And that is the best way we can support the clinicians of our country to improve the outcome. The outcome would not be improved if we don't detect it early. So both of them are linked together. Then comes the screening programs, where again the public private partnership is needed. We are talking about supporting the patient, but then detecting early is even more important. The screening programs today in India are not part of the culture, they are not the mandate, they are always a choice. I may do, my neighbor may not do, six of us maybe two do the screening every year, but maybe the others don't do. So it has to develop as a part of culture and mandate, and should not be a choice which few makes. And if that happens, a lot would change in terms of improving the cancer care. And that is where the first collaboration is needed. Then, when coming to your question, the collaboration on making the affordable cancer care, I think the first thing which the collaboration has to do is put a single direction to help treat cancer. We heard from Hitesh, we heard from Varun. So much of effort is going on, but maybe even I, being part of that industry, might was hearing few of the comments or the first time that so much is happening. So if everybody under the umbrella comes together for one unified direction, that I think can help the improving the cancer care. It so happens that. We are in India where we have one of the most affordable cancer drugs. But if we talk about the various support programs also in India, we have Ayushman, we have CM scheme, we have PM scheme. I'm talking today from Ahmedabad where we have My Yojana. But then most of the schemes are helping patients. But then if we also look at, are these schemes helping the patient to complete the treatment? Maybe these schemes are all limited because in the economy the funds are limited. So if the funds are limited, maybe most of the patients under these schemes, insurances, are being able to start the treatment, take the treatment to a level. But I think all of the sectors have to come together, whether it is NGOs, whether it's the organization like Keto, the pharmaceutical company, the hospital, to ensure that at least the good prognosis patients complete the treatment. And that is where I feel the public private partnership is further needed. It is not that we have to ensure that the patients start, but the patients with good prognosis also complete the treatment. And for those set of patients, we all have to come together to ensure that the partnership grows. The other important point here, which I would want to allude, is definitely the insurance. We all have to find a way, again, a disruption, that insurance should not be optional. The whole, we have a, big population of 130 crore plus. I know ensuring everyone would be difficult against cancer care. But if the partnerships happen, I'm sure the insurance also would be there. And then, as I said, the insurance should cover up the complete cancer care and not just the part of it. Coming to the last, but probably an important point, in India, what happens is most of the off-patented drug are accessible, are affordable for many patients, are included in various schemes. But there are many patented drugs which stay out of bound for many of the patients in the country. And I think there, again, we need the partnerships to ensure that we are able to give the oncologist of India the best cancer care, not just the cancer care. And for that, the Indian pharmaceutical companies also have to force their efforts, or probably push their efforts in the innovation, so that the best of innovation is also available at an accessible price to the oncologist. So that's it from my side.
That was such a well said response. I think you've absolutely nailed it. Thank you for that. So whether it was the analogy with COVID awareness, I absolutely loved how you compared the COVID awareness with cancer, and identified the gap there, in terms of the awareness itself, and the need for unified focus, the ideas around insurance penetration, and of course around pharmaceutical innovation. I think those are all important elements that go into the equation. So thank you for that solid response, Ashish. Do we have the physicians on the line? I just want to real quick check if Dr. Ashish Joshi and Dr. Vashishth Maniar are on the line, so I can ask them their questions and continue the discussion. I guess there are some delays from their side, so I'll turn it over back to our moderator from Voice of Healthcare, and I thank each of the panel members for their valuable time on a weekend and for the comprehensive responses today in the session.
Thank you, Ms. Gandhi, for moderating this session so brilliantly. With that, we wrap up this amazing, thought-provoking session. Thank you to all our esteemed panelists, our partner, and all our viewers for staying with us till the end. We greatly value your time. And I hope watching this session was just as interesting as hosting it was for us. With that, we are going to sign off now. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.